Coming up, ex-CIA director angry about losing security clearance. AOC does Nazi salute. CNN's Jim Acosta and Erin Burnett show unbelievable bias. Ex-CDC director says Fauci misled. And Bishop attempts to justify her lecturing Trump. First up, ex-CIA director John Brennan is very upset about losing his security clearance.
Mark Milley is an American hero. He is somebody who served his country so selflessly over so many years in very trying and difficult situations. And so, Donald Trump couldn't even get near General Milley's record in terms of his patriotism, his dedication to this country. So, again, I think that most Americans need to be appalled at what Donald Trump has done to General Milley as well as to others who have served this country so nobly.
John Brennan typically sees himself as a victim. He is clearly suffering relevance deprivation syndrome. He also believes General Mark Milley is an American hero. He believes that he served the country with honour. Unbelievably, he has no problem with the most senior military officer effectively providing comfort and assistance to a potential enemy, that being China. The fact that Milley told the Chinese military that he would warn them of an impending attack by the US, completely undermining his boss, the President of the United States, gives no pause to Brennan. It tells us pretty much all we need to know about both Brennan and Milley. Brennan continues.
Suggested that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. No, we said it was for the hallmarks of Russian information operations, including the dumping of accurate information, which is what we said in that letter. So again, this was just, his effort to try to get back at those individuals who have criticized him openly and publicly in the past, and I think very legitimately.
Here Brennan tries to justify the unjustifiable, his part in the Russia hoax. Nothing to see here, situation normal, according to Brennan. Seems that him having a beef with Trump would justify any action he undertakes. But then he squeals when his security clearance is removed. It doesn't cross his mind that perhaps what he has to say on intelligence matters is not exactly important. If you enjoy this sort of content, please like, share and subscribe. And you can buy me a cup of coffee if you like. Then we have Elon Musk's father, Errol.
I get criticized that I don't know what's in his head and his heart. Okay, I bet his father does, the man who made him. Errol Musk joins us now. Errol, thank you for taking the opportunity.
No, it's a pleasure.
And I know it's in the very early morning for you in South Africa, so thank you. Thank you for making the accommodation. What do you make, sir, of the suggestion that your son was making a Nazi salute up on stage?
It's absolute nonsense. Absolute rubbish. Rubbish. It's a universal salute, or as he said, throwing his heart out, I suppose. Yes, no, it's a universal thing for thousands of years. So that's rubbish. Utter rubbish.
Chris Cuomo asks Errol Musk about the so-called Nazi salute. Errol laughs and says that it is complete rubbish and it was definitely not a Nazi salute. Now, Errol stood for a party in South Africa that was opposed to apartheid, the Progressive Federal Party, a party that I know well and I actually helped in the 1981 general election. Anyone with a knowledge of the Progressive Federal Party at the time would know that the suggestion that someone who stood for them is in any way a Nazi sympathizer is ludicrous. And then we have AOC giving the Nazi salute. It is very obvious that AOC is a Nazi masquerading as a liberal. No, not seriously, but she stupidly makes these sorts of assertions about Elon Musk. In fact, if you look at the motion of AOC's arm, it is far more of a Sieg Heil move than Musk did. The hypocrisy of the left in general, and AOC in particular, knows no bounds. And then we have the biased Jim Acosta.
That is the truth.
This is a political world, Jim, and I don't remember you all on CNN condemning Joe Biden for commuting the sentences of murderers and child molesters, which he did, and you all
Congressman,
refused,
I'm not asking about that. Congressman, we have talked about Joe Biden's pardons.
You never do,
Congressman,
Jim.
we did talk about it. We talked about Joe Biden's pardons.
Oh, Jim, you did not. You all read your report from the Democrat National Committee, as you always do, and you attack Americans.
False. Congressman,
no.
If you ever doubted that CNN is a hotbed of Democratic support, this clip, and then with Erin Burnett a bit later on, should erase all doubt. Acosta pushes the issue of January 6th pardons. When Congressman Tim Burnett responds by pointing out that some of the murderers, rapists, etc. that Biden pardoned, Acosta goes into full defense mode, saying that he is only there to talk about the January the 6th pardons and not anything else. As you will see a bit later with Burnett, CNN still hasn't got the message that the majority of Americans are not focused on January 6th as much as CNN hopes they would be. And speaking of Erin Burnett.
I'm not saying it's fair, but at the same time, President Biden changed all this. Remember the 37 murderers that he commuted their sentences? Remember two of them, one that he pardoned, the one that he pardoned killed 2 FBI agents. Another one literally beat an officer to death with a hammer. And another one literally tied up a woman who had accused him of rape, tied her up in duct tape, put a center block around her, and threw her over a bridge live. And so you remember that the violence that he pardoned, and I'm just saying you got to compare both of them, Erin. If you're going to cover the story, cover both stories, because neither one of them is
Senator,
great.
there two things though. First, I want to talk about you. First of all, saying somebody else jumped off a bridge, so I'm going to jump off the bridge too, is not an excuse.
Senator Mullen talks about murderers and rapists that Biden pardoned, and you can see Burnett's entire body language in complete denial. Look at her huffing, looking down, completely uncomfortable with the issue of Biden's pardons, and keeping on pushing an angle that the two aren't comparable, and that she does not want to hear about Biden's pardons. It continues.
Erin, I don't mean to be beating a drum here, but I just want to make sure that reporting is equal. What does the individuals, what does the Biden administration, what does this station say to the individuals that they lost 2 of their family members that were FBI agents? What about the officer that was beat to death with a hammer? All I'm trying to say is let's make sure we're not just focusing on President Trump and his pardon.
But Senator,
let's keep in mind that the outgoing administration of President Biden did even worse.
Well, no, I'm not going to accept.
Look at Burnett, instantaneously looked down and huff, clearing her throat, when Mullen mentions that 2 FBI agents were killed by one of the people that Biden pardoned. Yet CNN and their journalists try to claim that they aren't partisan. They're just an unpartisan news organisation. The partisan nature of the media continues.
Is this all you really talking about, is the J6ers that have been pardoned? Yeah. Okay. Are you going to talk about the Biden family that got pardoned? No? I haven't. Oh, okay. What about the rapers and killers and murderers that Joe Biden pardoned? There are tons of them. Is that a focus at all? Well, I'm asking about J6.
Once again, here the journalist approaches Marjorie Taylor Greene, pushing for a response on the January the 6th pardon. Taylor Greene asks the journalist if she's going to ask about the Biden crime family or the pardons of murderers and rapists. The answer, in not so many words, is definitely not. Don't want to paint my side in a negative light. And they wonder why their ratings are crashing. And then we have Julian Epstein.
Defense, some of them were nonviolent drug offenses. Some of the violent offenses were the commutation of death sentences, not a get out of jail free. But the political pardons were awful, and particularly the pardons of his family. Not just is it a smudge on his legacy, whatever legacy is left, because Biden lied about the pardons of his family members. It sort of exposes the sanctimony of the Democratic rhetoric on rule of law as hollow. But ultimately, what the pardon of the family members does is it gives oxygen to the Republican argument that this is worthy of further investigation, because what the pardon suggests, Liz, is a cover-up of an influence peddling scheme.
Epstein, a Democrat, is appalled by Biden's pardons. He says the pardons of his family, the lies he told about not pardoning his family, goes against the sanctimony that Biden preached earlier. He also states that it has the stench of a cover-up, an influence peddling scheme, which really it was. And then we have ex-CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield.
Leaked out, killed millions of people. What do you think that this pardon could help us discover about COVID?
You know, I hope that, it gives us Fauci an opportunity to try to be more honest and transparent about the decisions that he made and what he did. I'm not confident that that's going to happen. I also think it's odd, for Biden to pardon him prospectively.
Redfield hopes that the pardon of Fauci may mean that we get more honest answers from Fauci, but he really doesn't hold much hope. He also thinks that it is odd for Biden to pardon Fauci prospectively, but in reality, everyone knows why this is the case. Redfield continues.
And, I do think Tony did mislead the nation, and he did mislead the Congress.
Yeah.
He did make some bad decisions when it came to funding the research and gain-of-function research in China.
Do you think do you think he realizes, I mean, in his mind, do you think that he sees this as, I sent this money, it went through DASAC or whatever, it got to China. Clearly that money was used at this lab where this disease came from. Do you think he's made that leap in his mind to realize his culpability?
I'm not certain. I would hope he would have.
Redfield states that Fauci misled the American people and Congress and made bad decisions with gain-of-function research. This just wasn't a bad decision. Gain-of-function research in America and by Americans is illegal. It seems Redfield also has little faith in terms of the self-awareness regarding Fauci. And next, we have Bishop Marianne Edgar Budd.
Who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation.
We've probably all seen this part of Budd lecturing Trump et al. In church, with her throwing divisive rhetoric around, castigating President Trump on the issue of illegal immigrants. The looks and response of Trump, Melania, Vance and his wife are priceless. Of course, The View gave her the rope, the opportunity to put her case.
Yesterday morning was to reflect, to pray with the nation for unity. And as I was pondering what are the foundations of unity, I wanted to emphasize respecting the honor and dignity of every human being, basic honesty and humility. And then I also realized that that unity requires a certain degree of mercy and compassion and understanding. And so knowing that a lot of people, as I said, in our country right now are really scared, I wanted to take the opportunity in the context of that service for unity.
This bishop claims, in completely Orwellian fashion, that she was lecturing Trump on unity. She says a lot of people are really scared. Well, if they're illegal aliens, then they should be. They should not be living in the United States. This is completely self-serving nonsense by this bishop. I hope she is happy that she got her 10 minutes of fame. What do you think of the antics of the legacy media? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.